can you buy a business and then own and continue to run that business while living in a different country? Absolutely, definitely you can. And I think that's one of the key things to understand and get really clear on up front, really early on, is what is it that you are looking for in a business, not what are other people looking for, because it's very easy once you start thinking about buying business and different people get in your ear around what you should be looking for and what you should be prioritizing and caring about. But the most important thing is to get really clear on what it is that you want in a business. So absolutely you can. There's two parts to this. We're talking about buying a business. Can you remotely buy a business or with limited face-to-face time? And then can you run a business remotely? And the answers to both of those is yes. So I've bought businesses before. In fact, the second to last one we did was not where I lived. I personally do think if you can eyeball the seller, I would recommend that. But you only need to do that once. So with this second to last business I bought, myself and one of the directors went and travelled and flew and we met the sellers. But that was the only one time we physically met face to face during the whole process. And so that was the very first kind of real conversation. We had conversations with them before that around just understanding their business a bit more and getting a feel for whether we thought it would seriously be a good acquisition for us. And once we decided, yes, I think this is something we'd seriously like to pursue, then we got on the plane and flew and met them. And it is something to be said for eyeballing somebody. You get a really good feel for them that you can't always get as well online. If online's your only option, that's totally fine. But just to get that initial feel for them, I think is quite important face to face. It's also a really good chance to build rapport, because the process of buying or selling a business takes time, and the better you get on with the person, just the smoother everything goes. So what I typically do is, if you can do one face-to-face, it's a face-to-face meeting to have that first kind of dating session, understanding the business, asking all your questions, seeing what they're wanting, what are you wanting, see if there could be a good fit here. Also a good chance to go out with them for lunch, catch up with them for a drink afterwards, have a little bit of more casual social time to build that rapport, understand who they are as a person, and that can really help the process as you go on, if you actually kind of get along with them as a person as well, and everything's not just always professional. And then the third thing I try and do, if you do get face-to-face time, is actually physically see the business. That's not always important, depends on what kind of business it is, but sometimes it's a good opportunity to actually, get them to show you around and see what it is you're buying. So that's the acquisition process. So that first meeting, if you can do it in person, great. If you can't, it doesn't write it off. You can still go ahead. It could still be a good acquisition. But if you can at least do one, that is good. And then from there, I never had another face-to-face with them. The whole process, it took about maybe about 4 or 5 months, that acquisition, and everything else I did phone, Zoom meetings, email, and that was totally fine, not a problem. Then the second part of that question is, can you run a business remotely when you're not there or not there often? And again, absolutely yes. So again, it just comes down to the criteria, and that will help you determine what kind of business you are looking to buy to begin with. So just as somebody looking to buy might be interested in a particular industry, or they might want a business with a particular revenue level, or they might want a manufacturing business, or they might want a services business, you wanting a business that you can run or oversee or manage or whatever remotely is just another criteria. So just like any other criteria that somebody might have, this one's just important to you. And there are lots of businesses that can be run remotely. I think COVID is one thing we can thank COVID for, is a lot of businesses did realize that actually there are lots of ways to continue to work and operate and manage teams and people and make sure things still get done with remote methods, and you don't have to physically be there. In my last role, my entire team was remote, because for me, the most important criteria was the capability and getting the right people with the right skills and expertise and personality to fit with the team. That was much more important to me about where they physically were located. So yeah, my last team was spread across the country, and we worked totally fine with this day and age, with all the systems you have with, you know, Microsoft Teams or Zoom or whatever. It's very easy to run a business remotely if you have chosen the right one. If you are choosing a business that does require, say, yeah, some of the business I've worked for are medical practices. So sometimes, you know, if you're actually doing those tasks, if you're seeing patients, doing surgery, then of course you have to physically be there. But a lot of the management can be done remotely. And again, another example of my previous role, our directors and board and executive management team were spread across the country, and so we would just come together for every second board meeting. So once every 2 months we physically got together and saw each other, and everybody flew into one location, but the whole rest of the time we all just ran remotely, and we ran a reasonably sized national business, and there was no problems at all with doing that remotely. So yeah, don't let that hold you back. Just have it as one of your non-negotiable criteria if that's really important to you. And then you, when you're filtering businesses you're interested in, just make sure that they're one where it meets that criteria for you. And all the best with that purchase.